Hi guys, welcome back. So let's continue our lecture about this human tissue. So let me share screen. All right, so this is where we left the connective tissue. So we are going to look into this portion. All right. So the connective tissue, the feature is that the tissue has um, has cells that sparsely distributed throughout the environment. So the cells are not packed. So that's a feature. And then holds these cells in the environment was matrix. So they are like matrix, and the cells are like separately distributed in the tissue. So that's a connective tissue. The connective tissue uh, also come from our germ layer. And the germ layer provide this connective tissue are uh, mesodermal layer. Yeah, so mesoderm basically. Yeah, so that's that. They are distributed in the matrix. These matrix are formed by protein. And because these proteins form this matrix like fibers fibers network, so the proteins is called fibrous protein or protein fibers. They are the primary one is collagen, elastin. So those are the typical like proteins forming these matrix, just like your matrix, you lay down it, your matrix. So that is the matrix to let these cells lay on it. Yeah. And so what kind of cells are these connective tissues? Um, very, very typical one is called fibroblast. So his fibrous blast. We will see it. So that's connective tissue. This is a classification of connective tissue. So um, we can classify the connective tissue into two major categories. One is called connective tissue proper. So connective tissue proper is just no specific function or role. They basically just fill in the tissue, fill in our body. So that's called connective tissue, proper just stuff, put in between organs. Yeah. On the other hand, we have another category that is called specialized connective tissue. And so these connective tissue has functions such as cartilage. This is one connect in the junction between bones and bones. Bones is also connective tissue that is specialized. Blood, this fluid connective tissue. All this fits into a feature of connective tissue, um, which is that the cells are sparsely distributed in the matrix. So, so that's that. So let's first look into the connective tissue proper. In the connective tissue proper, it has two major type. One is called loose. Basically, this tissue, the cell, the matrix are pretty much light. It's not very condensed. The loose and also another one is called dense. Dense or fibrous is more condensed. So for loose one, it has three major type called areolar. So very basically just kind of like if you do the histology or microscope, we will see that it's very opening. Adipose are fat tissue. So fat tissue is a type of loose connective tissue proper. And another one is called reticular. So this one has some structure, but is still pretty loose. For the dense one or fibrous one, we have irregular, dense, fibrous structure. It has irregular, so the fibrous structure, we are talking about this matrix. This is protein fibers. It could be very regular. It could be very irregular. Another one is called elastic, so it has some elasticity on it. So all these can be found in our body in different kind of between our organs, um, in different locations, and they don't have a specific function. They basically provide just some support of our organs. Yeah. So a typical one I want to get your attention is the fat tissue. Fat tissue should have function. It store fat, but we it's not we, somebody, classify it as a loose tissue, connective tissue proper. So it's not considered as specialized, it's considered as a tissue proper. So just a quick squid would be like adipose or fat tissue is a kind of what kind of it's kind of what kind of tissue is belong to what kind of tissue in our body. It will be considered as a loose connective tissue proper. Yeah. So that's that. And then here is the specialized cartilage. This is one. It has three major type: hyaline, elastic, fibrocartilage. So that's three type: bones, blood. So that's considered the specialized. So here is the slides we just mentioned. Tissue has two major connective tissue has two major category. One is called connective tissue proper. It has loose one, it has dense one. Loose one include fat. Specialized include the cartilage, bone, and the fluid tissue. The major one is blood, but we also have lymph. Those are also fluid. It's just the blood is the primary one. Yeah, so you can see that all these you will have cells, and the quiz question will be, or the idea that you need to build upon will be, what kind of cells you can find in tissue proper, in connective tissue proper? What kind of cells? What's the primary cells in the connective tissue proper? What is the primary cell in the cartilage? What is the primary cell in the bone? What is the primary cell in the blood? And so that basically all of these are quiz question basically. So let's look at the cells in the connective tissue. Of course, they are specific cells. We can also classify them into two major types. One is called fixed cell. Those fixed cells are the ones stay in the tissue. They cannot move away. They will get kind of like stuck in the tissue, in the matrix. Another group is called wandering cells. This is one can move in and out of the connective tissue. So the fixed one are the one called fibrocyte or fibroblast. We will look into that. This is a typical, the most abundant cells in the proper connective tissue proper. Adipocytes, the fat cells, mesenchymal cells, those are, and the bone cells, cartilage, etc. But those are, yeah. So here what we are trying to say is that these are basically stay in the tissue. It's not moving away. For the wandering cells that can move in and out of the tissues include the blood cells, basically blood cells. The blood cells include the macrophage, leukocytes, basically macrophage, mast cells. This is also leukocyte, lymphocytes, plasma cells. All these are basically the white blood cells in a way, and phagocytic cell. That's actually, yeah, phagocytes, macrophage. So these can move between. They are transport in the blood, and when there is any injury, tissue injury, uh, whether that's muscle tissue injury, nerve tissue injury, they will leave the blood and go into the tissue, and to fight for the body defense. So let's look at this connective tissue proper. The connective tissue proper, the primary cell is fibroblast. So fibroblast is most abundant cells in the connective tissue proper. So it's you will see this in a quiz question. What is the most abundant cells in the connective tissue proper? That is fibroblast. Fibroblast is can be uh, can be gradually changed become the fibrocytes. So these two are basically the same cells. It's just one is more potent or active, the other one is less active. And and what do? They produce these fibrous protein or protein fibrous protein, basically collagen. Yeah. So they secrete polysaccharides. So this is carbohydrates and fibrous protein. So that's protein. These two are totally different molecules. So in our earlier lecture, we talked about the molecule. We know that carbohydrates, proteins, those are the polymers, and the fibroblast will produce both. They will produce these polysaccharides. So this is a polymer. So it will be the monomer is monosaccharides such as glucose. But here is not the glucose, that is a different form of the sugar. So not the one that we talked earlier. But those are also a type of a glucose. So because this is polymer, so they gonna form this meshwork. And so it's perfect for serving as a matrix to let cells to sit on it. So that's the proteins is also a polymer, but in this case, not just single protein, yes, multiple proteins. They also form this meshwork, and so these will be just produced from the fibroblast, and they will serve as a matrix for the tissue connective tissue proper. So that's that. So that's the primary cell. All right, now you know what is the primary cell in the connective tissue proper. Now, adipocytes are the cells in adipose, adipose tissue or fat tissues. Yeah. So adipocytes is the cells of the fat tissues. So you can see this is the typical fat cells. It stored fat. So our body store fat in different area underneath our skin, in the belly, we have belly fat. But underneath our skin, we also have fat. Between our organs, we also have fat. So these fats basically is a way to fill in between our organ. Underneath our skin also provides some insulation so we don't lose heat. And it also serves the function to store energy. So when we have eating food, um, these fuel can be stored as fat inside of fat cell. So here, this one is a lipid droplet. Okay, here, fat reservoir. So that store our fat. Yeah. So that's that. Mesenchymal cells, what is the feature about it? This is the stem cell for a lot of other cells. So here is mesenchymal stem cell. Mesenchymal cells is also known as mesenchymal stem cell. This one is a stem cell, so it can become other cells. So it can become bone cells. The bone cell is called osteocytes. It can become fibroblasts that we just mentioned earlier. It can become adipocytes, the fat cells. It can become uh, stromal cells. This is another cells that distributed in our tissue become exercise in the brain, in the central nervous system, become fibroblasts again. Here, fibroblasts. We can see fibroblasts in the connective tissue. We can also see fibroblasts in the skin. That is skin has a epithelial, but underneath the epithelial is connective tissue. So you see those there. They will produce this collagen. Yeah, and here is another collagen. You can see mesenchymal cells to produce the muscle cells, and the mesenchymal cell to produce the chondrocytes. Chondrocytes is a cells inside of cartilage. So you can see that this one has we call it multipotent. Potent means it's potential. Multi means a different kind of potential. Adult. So we all adults. Stem cell. So this is a stem cell. Yeah. So that's that. So we can also see this in the connective tissue. It's not a lot. They are just some of them there, and they will be ready to replenish the lost connective tissue. Yeah. So we can regenerate. A lot of our connective tissue can be regenerated. Yeah. So that's the cell. Now, cells are sitting inside of matrix, just like you laying on the matrix, on your bed, your matrix. So what are the matrix? Matrix include polysaccharides, include protein fibers. It also include protein glycans. In fact, all of these are secreted mainly from fibroblast. So we don't have the picture. So here is an example of the skin, all right? So you can see that here is the epidermis, dermis, hypodermis. And if this epidermis, dermis, hypodermis, you will start to see the fat cells. And then here is, epidermis. Here we go, dermis, hypodermis. Yeah. And yes, you're right. Yes, yes, yes. So this is basement layer, basal laminar, and then here is, yeah. So that's that. So this is the epithelium, and underneath this is the connective tissue. And so here in the connective tissue, you will see these uh, collagen. So this is the fibrous protein. So it was one short protein, but it was next to the other, next to the other. They are sticky. Their two ends are sticky, so it can elongate. We also have a higher hyaluronic acid. So this is let me see that. This is part of the proteoglycan. Sorry, part of the polysaccharide. So um, polysaccharides. And then you have the proteoglycan that include the glycose aminoglycan. And so yeah, so here is the proteoglycan right here. So it contains some protein. Proteo means protein. Glycan means glucose. So it includes the protein and the glucose. So yes, protein. It has this protein structure called protein. Here is the protein end, and this one provides some attachment for glucose to attach on it. Here is the in the proteoglycan we have this glycose aminoglycan. So this one attached to it. Um, so that's that. So here is some like enhanced water retention. So this space can absorb water, keeping the fluid inside so it's not dry. Um, a lot of this is like commonly used in the cosmetic. So basically, people will put the hyaluronic acid, and it can supply the skin, so skin will look has less wrinkles, look more shinier. Um, these glycose aminoglycan, which is um, this one here, glycose, uh, glycose aminoglycan. So this include the glucose, amino is protein related, and the glycan. So this one you can people take uh, supplements hoping to support these connective tissue in our body. People concerned about the cartilage uh, damage will take some of these supplements to supply their glycose glycose aminoglycan. So that's that. So here, all these. So it includes two major category of our large molecule, protein and uh, carbohydrates. Protein, we have the collagen. Carbohydrates, we have the polysaccharide. Yeah, collagen and elastin. Yeah, those are protein. Yeah, so that's the matrix. So now we know the cells, we know the matrix. All of these structurally forms the tissue connective proper. Go back here, you will see that all these form the connective tissue proper. And yeah, so that's that. And you can see that this is basically forming skin. If we go back to skin again, skin is a typical example. Skin is an organ. Skin contains the connective tissue. So you can see that cells are packed together. These cells are the are epithelium cells. Yes. And so they have multiple layer, uh, include the stratum basale, stratum spinosum, stratum granulosum, and push it all the way up to the stratum lucidum and the stratum corneum. So these epithelium cell, they are originally generated in the uh, this basement layer, and then they divide it, then they push up, push up. When they push up, they are further away from our blood vessel. Here is capillary, that's a blood vessel. So they are pushing away from our blood vessel, and so they gradually die because they don't get nutrition. And so on the top here, you have the dead epithelium to protect our skin. So that's the epithelium. Underneath this, we will have the connective tissue. So you can see that you don't see much of the cells. If we do have cells, they are sparsely distributed. The primary cell in this this is dense here. Papillary, sorry, dermis. Papillary is more like loose connective tissue. Reticular are more dense connective tissue. So let me go back to here. So here. Papillary is more like loose connective tissue. The dense is connective tissue is located underneath that. And all these, you don't see much of cells. You see matrix. So here is the matrix. So you have the like here, you have the matrix. You don't see much of cells. The primary cells in these connective tissues are fibroblasts. Those are the one to producing this matrix. Not only that, underneath this is subcutaneous and you can see fat tissues. This is another connective tissue. These are loose connective tissue proper. Yeah. So that's the connective tissue proper. And then the next thing that we are going to look at are the specialized connective tissue. So all right. So from now on, we are going to look into these special connective tissue. We are going to look into the cartilage, bones, and the blood. And you need to put your attention on what kind of cells are the primary one in each of these tissues. So basically, that's gonna be your quiz question. Yeah, what are the cells? So for the cartilage, we have three type: hyaline, elastic, fibrocartilage. So here is where we can find them. Hyaline is in the attached to the bone, kind of like protect the joint. Um, Elastic are the one you can see here in the ear. You have those cartilage. They are not hard. They are soft, but they are not muscle. So that's that. And also the fibrous, this is another cartilage that you can see them to, this is more condensed. This one can sustain stress. So we can see them in the vertebral disc. Yeah, so that's that. The cells, that's the key here. What are the cells of the cartilage? The cells of cartilage is called chondrocyte. So chondrocytes. Chondrocytes, the one is the one to form the cartilage. Chondrocytes, we have the chondrocytes. They are in the cartilage, but in the cartilage, here it shows you cartilage. So here are three types of cartilage. In each cartilage, you have the pericartilage. So perichondrium, they are in the border, and then here is the cartilage. These we go back here. Um, in the border is called perichondrium. Perichondrium, it contains the perichondrocytes. So perichondrocytes are chondroblast. These are the stem cell that can reproduce, can provide the lost chondrocyte. And so these chondroblasts are located in the perichondrium. And when the chondrocytes are inside of the cartilage, so it's also chondrocytes, also so cartilage cells. So let's go back to the picture here. Here you have the cartilage, you have the chondrocytes. You can see that they are two, but they are sparsely distributed inside of the tissue. And these will die. You know, you may have cartilage damage, you may have through the aging, you may have cartilage loss, and so these will die. And don't worry, we have the stem cell in the perichondrium right here, perichondrium. These perichondrocytes can be or are these chondroblasts that are stem cell. They can replenish the loss of the chondrocyte in the cartilage. So that's that. So that's the key. Chondroblast or perichondrocytes are located in perichondria. Uh, surrounding the cartilage, they can be differentiated. Basically, it can become the new chondrocytes migrate into the cartilage to form the cartilage. Now, in the cartilage, we have the chondrocytes. These one produce the matrix, so form the cartilage, and so that's the primary cells in the cartilage. And cartilage is a vascular, meaning that cartilage doesn't have blood supply. So if, for example, when you are, like if you got something hot, you touch it, you can touch the ear because ear doesn't have the blood supply. It's pretty cold actually. The ear is pretty cold, so it doesn't have the blood circulation. And on the other hand, because there's no blood supply, cartilage can be easily the repairment of the cartilage is quite difficult. It requires a lot of time. It's not easy. So for the cartilage injury, um, it will take time to get healed. It will get healed, but it will take time. Yeah, so that's the cartilage. Now, the other one is bone. What are the cells in bone? So here is bone. So here we in our lab we draw the bone tissue. And the feature of the bone tissue is that you have the cells, they are sparsely distributed, and the bone tissue, the matrix is pretty firm. So that's a unique part. So that's that. And what are the cells? The cells here, let's look at the matrix first. We will talk about the cells. So the matrix is pretty firm. The matrix are originally come from the cartilage fiber. But cartilage fiber, collagen fibers are pretty soft. They are proteins. But these proteins formed there, it will be mineralized. So a lot of mineral will attach to it. These minerals include the calcium phosphate, calcium carbonate will attach to it. Not only that, we also have something called hydroxy apatite. Apatite. Yeah, hydroxy apatite crystal. Let me show you what it's like. So that is the hydroxy uh, apatite right here. So you can see that this is it's like a powder structure, and this is basically is uh, the bone powder in a way. It's a bone powder. And these things can be used to people can use it to fix the cavity because our teeth are also bones. So this can fix this cavity. This can fill in this matrix to to enhance our teeth and enhance our bones. And so this one is another mineral that fill in our bone matrix. So bone matrix are originally come from the collagen, fibroblast, or the osteocytes in the bone is osteocyte. They secrete this collagen, but this collagen gradually got mineralized, and so it become hardened. Yeah. So that's the matrix. Now, bone cells, there are four types of bone cells. The primary one is called osteocyte. Osteocyte. So the picture showing earlier here, these are osteocyte. So the primary one is the osteocyte. Bone look pretty dry, looks dry, but it's not. Bones are filled with vascular circulation, so these osteocytes, these even though it's hard, but vessels are already formed, they can nourish in these cells, so they bone is pretty much vascularized in contrast to the cartilage. Cartilage is not. It's right here. Cartilage is avascular, so it's not very doesn't have a lot of blood supply. But bone is has a lot of blood supply. If you broke the bone, you're gonna see a lot of bleeding coming from the bone. So that's that. So the primary cells are the osteocytes. They are the primary cells. They got stuck in that spot. They cannot move around. that spot is called lacuna. So these spots are called lacuna, and the lacuna, this like cell, it's like gel. They cannot move around, but they will get nourishing blood coming in, provide the glucose, provide the nutrition, and the cells will provide these secrets, uh, these material for enhancing the bone. So that is the osteocytes. So that's the primary cells, but that's not the only cells. We also have our osteoblast. Osteoblasts are the osteocytes stem cell. So this one can differentiate to become the osteocytes. Yeah. And once they become the osteocytes, they got trapped in the lacuna. So that is that. Osteoblasts are the one to initiate the bone. So osteoblasts that is not stuck in the lacuna, is not stuck in the one. They come in there, is new land. They will secrete a lot of collagen matrix, secretes a lot of the salt, the calcium salt, and then they gradually building up this matrix, and in the end they get trapped inside of this matrix. They become the osteocytes. So that is the transition. We also have two other cells. One is called osteogenic cell. This is the stem cell to become the osteoblast. We also have the cells that can chewing away the old bone. So that's how our bone grow or our bone shape different. Bone is dynamic, even though it's hard, but it gradually change its shape. So um, osteoclasts are the one to chewing away the weakened bone material or old bone material. So it's macrophage, meaning that it can eat. So that's the four type of the bone cells. The primary one is osteocytes. Where is it? It's in the lacuna. Uh, what are the one before osteocytes? That is the osteoblast. Osteoblasts are the one before the osteocytes. What are the stem cells? That's the osteogenic cells. What's the cells that can chew away the old bone material? That's the osteoclast. So that's the four types of bone cells. Here, for the bone cells, osteogenic can differentiate into the osteocyte, osteoblast. Osteoblast secretes a lot of the matrix, got himself stuck inside of the lacuna, and then they become the osteocyte. And the osteoclasts are the one to chewing away the old bone. So that's that. There are two types of the bone structure. One is called cancerous bone. This is also called spongy bone. Another one is called compact bone. So here is a picture showing you this is a long bone. We have the compact bone as the shaft of the long bone. We also have spongy bone located in the two end of this long bone. This is the you can see that this is highly vascularized. You see this blood coming in to nourishing your cells. So that's two type bone. Now the last thing is blood. Blood, what are the cell? Blood cell. What are the blood cell? Two type blood cells. White blood cell, red blood cell. Red blood cell is also called erythrocytes. So what are the cells in the blood? The primary one is erythrocyte. The second primary one is the leukocyte, white blood cells. Lymphocytes is just one of the leukocytes. So that's that. So that is the connective tissue. And let's take a break and we will continue with the muscle tissue and the nerve tissues.